First Lady Erika Simmons, welcome to Nature of Reality Radio. I met you at the Orlando conference, that wonderful Orlando conference where Alex Collier made his final public appearance. And it was a great conference for waking up everyone and giving lots of galactic and spiritual info to people on a mass scale. And um, where was it that I met you at that conference? Not quite sure, but maybe you'll refresh my memory with that. And after you introduce yourself, tell your life story, what you do, we'll get into some really nitty gritty stuff. So please, Erika Simmons, introduce yourself and tell us who you are, what you experience, what you do that that makes you do the stuff that you do, and um, go from there. I'll ask you some really hard questions afterwards. So you got the floor, and I'll put myself on mute. Knock yourself out.
Well, that sounds exciting. You're going to ask me some hard questions. Well, I was at the conference, but I was in the meeting hall where we were just two vendors there, and we were selling jewelry and crystals, and so I personally was selling my energetic jewelry. A little bit about myself. I am a South Carolina girl. And how did I end up at the Galactic and Spiritual Informers Conference? Well, just even as a small child, I always had dreams of flying, and I just knew I could fly. And I was always reinserting myself in the same dreams, and I would have these strange recurring dreams. And, throughout time, we would have these experiences with, like, my mom going into trances and, just seeing apparitions and things like that. And so I was always just a believer that I know that there's more going on. I know, I just knew there was more going on around us. And I just knew for some reason that, otherworldly things were happening around me. I was an Army veteran, a lab tech in the military. And when I got out, I was also working at the VA hospital. And so I got to be around a lot of medical information. And during our medical holocaust is when I really had a chance to observe. I already felt like life was just not happening the way it should. Like, we spend too much time at work, away from our families, paying for a home that we don't get to spend time in, and having children that we don't really get to raise. They get raised by the school system. But I just knew, like, this wasn't the way it was supposed to be. And I medically retired, but that 2020 was a huge marker for me to change what it was that I was doing and the directions I was going, and take a closer look into metaphysics and things like that. And I started meeting all these truthers, but then I started meeting all these, metaphysical people with, information as well, that took me into more of galactic knowledge, which I'm not an expert on galactic knowledge, but it was just a huge confirmation for me that, yes, all the things that I've been thinking over time were correct, and that it was time to go deeper with it. And I started to work with different coaches and just learn more about myself and how to observe and get my messages from creators, source, and how to work with my own guides. And I just went on this year-long adventure of just being and discovering and creativity, which led me to making jewelry. And not just, making jewelry, doing resin, learning about organite. I ended up listening to James Rink and understanding radionics and things that led me to doing resin work and organite. And so that's it. It just whipped me, it snapped me up into this world of meeting this person, that person, and synchronicity one after the other that allow me to be in this forum and be at a conference to be able to meet you.
Lovely, and it was a absolutely lovely conference, and the reverberations of that conference will be carrying on for a very, very long time for sure. Now, I guess I'll let you make a bit of a sales pitch out of this program if you want to do that first. The jewelry that you sell, were you on? By the way, they mentioned that some people, one of the vendors had some of their crystals stolen from them. It's a shame that people would do that at a conference like that and not pay for it. People need to realize there's karma for that. So, were you one of the people that had their stuff stolen, or was that another
Well,
vendor?
that was my partner. That was my partner, Marvel Bliss, and she was at the next table. She sold crystals, and it was very strange because they took very specific hours. So I thought, I wonder if somebody has, like something that they're trying to work on, and that's what they took specifically. Because she had far more expensive stuff on the table, but they took these, it's like smoky quartz and citrine type towers, and it was really strange because it was strange for us to have security and that someone actually took the risk of doing it, not even just addressing their heart, but there was a lot of people. So to actually go there and do that, it was very, very peculiar. So
Hmm.
I don't know if you heard this about that conference, but
What?
talking to Chris Anatra, he was saying that there was about 14 different star families there and about 150 Andromedan ships above us while we were at the conference. And some people experienced some time anomalies while we were there too. So it was very interesting.
Yes, I could certainly imagine that they would be there, and we may not be able to see them, but that doesn't mean that they are not there.
Right.
And now, is it possible that maybe the stuff wasn't stolen, but the disappearing object phenomenon could have taken place for whatever the reason?
You know that is it's that's on the table for me. The interesting thing, and specifically how we know that those objects were missing. I took a picture of the table specifically because someone wanted to purchase some items, but they weren't physically there, and so I took pictures before and right then. So we go and watch about two speakers. We didn't even stay gone for an hour. Watched about two. We watched Alex and then Elena, and then we excused ourselves and went back to the table, and they were gone in just that short amount of time. So yeah, that's definitely one. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking about that before you said that. Who knows what dimension those items snapped into? I have no idea because it really wouldn't make sense for any employees to do it, and it wouldn't make any sense for anybody at the conference to actually do that. So I mean, and those were huge, tall, like 10-inch long crystals. So I don't know. It was very strange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, funny things like that do happen sometimes, and but what if they did disappear? Do they go back to source, or do you by any chance know anything about that? You said you were wondering about the disappearing object phenomenon. When objects disappear, where do they go? Do they go to? Well, they say some people say they go back to source. Well, what's that supposed to mean? I mean, if they go back to source, do they change their form? Because Einstein said matter and energy are two different forms of the same thing. Well, if they're going back to energy, what kind of energy are they going back into? Do you
Well, I had even a different. I don't know because sometimes when it comes to crystals, they disappear, but then they reappear. Crystals in your own possession. And so they usually say don't stress yourself out looking for it. It's where it needs to be at all times. But to me, it was more idea of the Indians and
Hello? Hello? Did I just lose you? Uh-oh. I think I just lost you. Um, popped out of the computer, so great. Back
no
in
big
again.
deal.
Okay, so let's go again. Um, Now where was I? Uh,
I, I had just finished with saying that I don't really try to figure out the little anomalies as much. That I think you can probably even cut that part out. I don't know.
okay, fair enough. Um, all right, so let's get into your work here. Um, Now you seem to have you like to make crossword puzzles. Some of your work here. Are crossword puzzles really good for exercising the mind? Is there anything particular about why you like them and why you that's some of the work that you offer your people to get?
That's so interesting that you brought that up. So a part of the reason that I medically retired, I was literally losing my memory. I was literally having moments where I don't know, it was as if I was is waking up out of a dream. And so I was being asked, I'll just tell you the story. I was sitting next to a friend of mine and he just yelled. He was like, "What?" And I was like, "What is wrong with you?" And he said, "You were in the middle of a sentence and you just stopped." And I looked over and I was looking at the television and he said, "I just never finished what I was saying." So at that time I realized like I was really having an issue with my memory. And so I was really having blackouts. I got CT scans and all kinds of things. I was looking at nootropics and things I could do to repair my mind. But uh, definitely so Sudoku or Sudoku. It's funny. I have the book, so I can hardly say it. Sudoku is definitely something that you can do because if you don't exercise your mind and and challenge yourself, then yeah, you will further deteriorate. And so, not only is diet a big thing, but actually doing word games and puzzles is something that stimulates your brain to help you fight off, those things of having a lazy mind, to keep your mind working. So I was doing a lot of it. So then I started generating my own puzzles. And in the book, in the back of the book, I actually talk about the fact that, it does stimulate your brain to keep you going. Like we have to do everything we can to keep our minds in tune because it is a muscle.
Hmm.
So there was really no other solution besides that and diet, just herbal supplements and diet and exercise and just exercising for the brain.
Well, what kind of herbal supplements are you really big on? I recently started taking St. John's wort. Um, Thought it was a nice little thing to take just to keep my mood uplifted throughout the course of the
For your
day.
mood.
Yeah, because I tend to get I tend to like being angry a little bit more than I probably should. So I
Yeah.
figured St. John's wort would be a good little thing to keep me calm and not make me as mad as I sometimes get. So,
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
so what other herbs do you recommend, and what specific things do they do?
Definitely, definitely because your gut health is important. I like things like zeolite. Zeolite is good for taking the heavy metals out of your body, but it also like cleanses your gut. So Zeolite is something amazing that I like to use, and I give it to my son. Zeolite supplement with like the little liquid drops with vitamin D. Um, Another thing I like is diatomaceous earth. Uh, that is, earth sediment from the ocean floor, but it's you can get it food grade and it's safe for your pets. And this also cleanses out your gut because gut health really will affect your mood as well. If you're all gunked up on the inside, it's like blocking up an engine. The engine's gonna stop working. Um, Another one that I also do, I love this mixing charcoal, that activated charcoal inside lemonade. That was something I had found in 2020, charcoal lemonade, but that company was out in Seattle. So during the time of the riots and stuff, that business actually shut down and they stopped importing it. So now I just make my own lemonade and add my own activated charcoal in it. Another thing that I really, really like, especially for ladies when we want to, this is also for your brain because you do need fat for your brain. So a lot of people, they believe in being vegan, but you still need some kind of fat for your brain. We really do need that. And so MCT oil, so that middle chain, what do they call it? Middle chain or medium chain triglyceride. This is good for like lubricating your joints. It's good for brain health, and it'll help you as a good cholesterol to actually lose weight. Actually get it out of your body. But I even make my own smoothies. So I use a lot of like super green powder to add to it. So what you can't get from a plant or a vegetable, you can get with the super greens. And then I have like beet powder. So I like beet powder. I like a lot of stuff. And especially even Oramus. Oramus is good for your brain. So that was one thing that I think it's monatomic gold. So I like the monatomic metals, the monatomic gold, silver, even copper. And there was a mix that I used to use. Somehow 2021, that one kind of went off the shelf. But getting into the metals and finding ways to get the monatomic, elements in the metals, it's really good for you. I'll continue to look. I'll look for that thing while I'm talking to you, though. But I even drink black water, and there's just so much we're not getting out of our food. You know how they say back in the days, like say in 1950, you might have been able to eat one apple. Well, in 2020, it takes 10 of those apples to eat one of those apples because, unfortunately, because of the way that they make food now, we're not getting all the nutrients that we normally would have gotten with good fertilizer and good soil.
Mm. Yes, yes, yes. That is a very big shame, especially with the food crisis that seems to be going on right now too. Um,
Right. How are we
especially,
having a crisis with throwing away 70% of the food that they grow? They're actually throwing it in the trash. So I think did we get to see that? We got to see that during 2020 as well. That oh wow, they're really just throwing the food away.
yeah, that really bothers me too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially supermarkets. Why do they have to throw away food that, like at the end of the night, that they make for people, like hot food and all, and then they throw it away, and when they could be giving it away to their own employees to take home for free. Um, it's a shame that they sometimes do that. Think of all those starving children in Africa who would be crying seeing all that food thrown away that they could be
Right.
having. It's a shame. Yes. Um, so, another one of your books, The Joy of Living Great. It's a collection of stories. Well, the word story, strictly speaking, is fiction, but are these non-fiction stories of joy? Um, and is it who are the people that experience these stories? Are these well, are they actually made up stories? Are they real life stories? Or
Oh, actually, the book, I, those are affirmations. So it's a group of women some of them are business owners, and some of them are just women who wanted to inspire other people. And um, Faye Horton is so interesting because she just messaged me last night. But Faye Horton, a wonderful woman that I was in another book collaboration with, she decided to go out on her own and make us just a short 30-day book of affirmations because it's a hard time, right? Even before 2020, we're tired and we're all just trying to figure out how to keep going and how to stay motivated. And so this was like a chicken soup for the soul type book. And so a few of us got together and we wrote our own affirmations. So it really wasn't stories. It was just affirmations, and some ladies used scriptures. Some people wrote poems. Just something to inspire people just, with love.
Yes, absolutely. Um, Now, vision boards with passion and purpose. Well, when it comes to making vision boards, there are vision boards that you can, well, not really boards like physical boards, but image collages, images that you can see in videos on the computer and all. But one I think could certainly make the argument that making your own vision board, either with real physical material or with digital material on a computer screen, is certainly better than simply looking at a vision board that flashes on the screen in front of you. Um, if that is the
And
case,
why not?
yeah, yeah, of
And why
course.
not? Because, well, this is so awesome that you said that. I just did a vision board um, seminar live on YouTube last night, and along with the vision board, just breaking it down just a little bit, we also did a meditation as well as an exercise on how to unblock your vision. Because vision is powerful. If you can't see it in your mind, then you can't believe it, right? You can't. It's not tangible to you until you can actually see it. I can tell you that you're gonna win this trophy or that you're gonna, succeed in something, but if you can't see it for yourself, then you won't be able to truly execute it. And I like the fact that you brought up that you can do a visual one on your computer because that's something that I encourage. You can put one on the computer. You can make post-it notes. You can make something small and you can put it on your mirror. You can put it, some post-it notes or in a notebook or in your car. What you need to do is put it where you can see it. You know what your habits are daily. If every day you get up and stretch and you stand in this certain spot, put it in that spot, put it on the wall. But one of the things that I tell people about is don't put it up too high where it's out of reach. It makes you feel like your goals are out of reach. Don't put it down too low because it'll make it seem like your goals are beneath you. But put it right there in your face, as like a walking target, something that you're coming close to. And of course, to combine the properties of your left brain and your right brain, you do use pictures and colors for the creative right brain. And then you do use numbers and words to connect the left brain with the logic. So you're trying to activate the energy of your left and your right brain. And so this is exactly what we discussed last night. You can use it how you want it. And I think sometimes too, we end up making up rules for ourselves on where we need to put it and how we need to do it. But this is, we're in this age of transmutation where we can do just about anything. So we don't need to put limitations and rules on it and make it. I guess that's how we just keep making new Bibles, with setting up, creating limitations and hurdles for ourselves when we can just relax and just kind of flow. Like these are ideas, a thing you can do to be successful. Is it something that you have to do to be successful? No, but it's just a tool. It's just an instrument. It's just one more thing that you can use and throw into the mix to help you flow to get where you really want to be. Because sometimes, it's great to flow, but we do have a purpose, and it's okay to have goals and achievements and accomplishments as long as we know how at these moments there's times we need to pivot and make changes and adjustments to our vision. But it's okay to have goals and not, and to not feel this huge amount of pressure of what if I don't achieve it. It's just, this is a game, right? We want to win, we want to have fun, and we want to play, but we're also just trying to incorporate our purpose in this and finding creative ways to execute our purpose. You know, I might my goal might be to help someone start a business, but maybe I find more creative ways for myself to actually be that person and play that role. Find creative ways to play your role. That's what it's all about.
Thank you. All right. At this point, I'd like to ask all listeners who are listening to this interview, please, this of course is not live, this is a pre-record, but for those that will be listening to this interview, the rest of this interview will be pay-per-view. So please subscribe on Patreon to listen to this rest of this interview. This day and age, people need to start being willing to monetize their own magnum opuses, their works more often. Nothing wrong with that in this time of great challenge. And folks, I could certainly use some more Patreon subscribers. Recently lost one who couldn't apparently afford to keep paying for me, and well, I don't really blame him for unsubscribing. I had been off for a little while, been off for a month before I did my last show, and I was supposed to do one yesterday, but the guest had to reschedule. But I'm trying to get back with a vengeance now and do shows more often, and I hope that encourages more people to subscribe to Patreon to listen to shows in their entirety. Because, hey, folks, don't assume that all the important stuff is discussed at the beginning of this interview. Very important stuff is certainly discussed throughout the interview, and I don't know what my angels and guides, what ideas are going to pop into my mind to make me discuss, and no doubt the rest of the latter parts of these interviews that are pay-per-view are worth listening to. So please, please, folks, consider subscribing. With that said, um,